5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye. Hello, how are you doing? Somewhere in the world, one of those will apply to you. This is LTIDT from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching live via YouTube, thanks very much. Get your predictions in there. Will come up on the screen at the bottom there-ish. That's about it. If you're watching on catch up, get your comments in the description below. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much indeed. Yes, look at that. Is that going to happen? We have got one of his biggest fans with us this evening. I tell you what, tonight, Brad will be telling us why we should employ Russell Martin. Honestly, he's convinced me. He's turned my feelings round. Will he do the same with you? Let's find out and bring him in. And it is the last this evening, the last review of the season, the 38th and final one. I'm not glad they're over, to be honest with you. I'm really not. It is the review show. A very good evening to you. Brad.
Yeah.
Evening. Well, look, we were just talking beforehand. Well, you were talking and I was listening. This has been announced today. Football Insider, not a sort of one I usually follow, but another channel did a show about it, and I thought I'd mention it. Russell Martin reaches full agreement with Leicester City amid announcement rules. I mean, it's kind of, you're losing a fiver in the sacking of Rude and finding another fiver, isn't it? And you just sort of, where you were. But
No, Chris. It's like losing a fiver, right? And then checking your balance and realising you're £500 overdrawn.
You when we were talking beforehand, I'm going to say you did come across that you weren't too keen on this appointment, if it is true.
If this appointment is true, I stand by what I say. I have lost complete faith in our board. Because if they are making an appointment on desperation and lack of funds, don't fucking bother getting rid of Rude. There's no point, because the guy's got about as much brain cells as Rude, so if not less. Let me run some easy facts about you as this genius manager is and how good he is at accomplishing things in his division. I don't know how many points exactly Southampton had when he was sacked, but I would guess it was anywhere between 8 and 4. How dare you, Scott? You're banned. Get out. How dare you? How very dare you indeed. Time them out, Chris. We don't take such slander in here. Anyway,
Welcome, Scott. You're welcome.
Anywhere between 8 and 4, I'm guessing, when they sacked him, because they only got 12 points this season. Well done, Southampton. Let me run you through some brilliant things that Russell Martin's managed to do in his time as Southampton manager. Right, bearing in mind, Chris, we hired Ruud van Nistelrooy because he spanked us in the league and spanked us in the cup. Right, he lost 4-1 in the Championship at home against Leicester. When they needed to beat us at the King Power to have any chance of beating Ipswich to the and Leeds at that point to the automatic spot place. When he was asked if it was doable after they lost their second game in hand, he said, instead of saying no, it's a long shot, we've got a chance, and really morale-ing the troops and really trying to get the fan base up for it, he went, oh well, there is other ways up to get promoted, and we're going to have to focus on that, I'm afraid. Yeah, okay, you're really filling me with confidence. But it gets better, Chris. The next night, after that wonderful morale-boosting, roaring press conference, we went and spanked them 5-0 because the players just completely gave up. Right? It gets better, Chris. Leicester, Southampton, early-ish in the season. Both teams not having the greatest of starts. Funny enough, Chris, believe it or not, we were actually outside the relegation at this point. We were 2-0 down to Southampton. 2-0 down. Embarrassing for Leicester. Scored again. Scored a winner. Won again 3-2. So he's got no points in 3 games against us and gave the worst wet sponge interview you could give. Didn't even hint that they could, that it'd be tough and they're really going to give everything they can. They're not going to give up until it's mathematically possible. Okay, bit scripty if you want to say it, but at least give it up. No, this man will not absolutely flop like a fish out of water if we're sat 7th next season and 4 points off the playoffs 2 games. No, this man's going to absolutely power us to it. Honest to God, Christ, it's like selling a car that's got three flat tires and a broken engine, and buying a car that's got a broken engine and 4 flat tires. It makes no sense. You're downgrading and you're losing money. Where's the common sense? And if we're going to go back to, Bradwell, FFP, we can't go for Sean Dyche, then stick with Ruud. Save us a hell of a lot more money and stick with Ruud van Nistelrooy and pray to God or whatever religion you believe in, or pray to whoever you want to, even if you want to just beg and plead with life itself, that he has a second season like Lampard's had at Coventry. Granted, starting the final, but
I just feel like I've lit the firework there and let it go on.
No, I'm on the fence, mate. At the end of the day, I will say this right now so no one can come at me and say this. If he is begrudgingly given the job, whether I like it or not, which I clearly fucking don't, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you picked up on that, he's managing Leicester if that's the case. It's a bit like Ruud. My opinion on ex-footballers getting these high-profile or Premier League title jobs. I wasn't a fan of it, still not a fan of it. Ruud's burned my hatred for that even more, but why he's managing Leicester, I want him to do well. So let's not have anyone coming up here saying you said all this about Russell Martin if he does get the job, but that's where I stand on the opinion. My faith in the board will be gone. That will not waver.
We need to get this show to 2 hours, so let's move on.
Well, there you go. Only another hour and 50 minutes to fill.
How is that fence feeling, sir?
Oh, I've got splinters everywhere, mate. You won't believe it. If only I could commit to what I feel.
Well, yes, don't hide your light under a bushel any longer. Full-time result at the weekend: Bournemouth 2, Leicester City 0. I had actually started to think after the last 3 games, because we'd won 2 and drawn 1, that maybe Rude actually might be the man. And we're going to come on, obviously, to team selection and things like that in a bit. But just taking the sort of the result and the performance, it was like, well, as I said, I had to write my bit out for the BBC today, and I said it's like he went. Well, somebody wrote that he'd gone back to the drawing board because he'd gone back to this different type of formation and what have you. And I kind of said that maybe if he went back to a dot to dot, he might actually know what he's doing. It kind of just any hope I'd got for Rude learning from his mistakes, from actually being able to work out what we needed and what we had to do against teams, it just all evaporated in 90 odd minutes.
To be fair, Chris, it evaporated for me about 7 games into his stay, because whilst he was trying to implement something and a different style of play, what he should have done after them first, because let's face it, Chris, the West Ham and the Brighton game were kind of like a manager bounce free hit. They wanted to impress. They wanted to go out there and show the manager, who openly admitted he didn't get really involved. He took a few training sessions in between, but there wasn't much time in between them games and him doing anything. He wanted to analyse what he got and go from there. He wasn't really going to do much. He was going to let the players basically audition for the show, if you will. And after that, he went straight into his own tactic, which a manager's got. He's got his own philosophy. He's got his own style of play. Absolutely fine. What he should have then realised after 3 or 4 games is gone, okay, this is something we'll have to put on the back burner. We're going to fall way short of safety if we keep playing like this and keep getting results like this. I'm going to revert back. I'm going to watch the tape back. I'm going to revert back to the West Ham game and the Brighton game. We're going to work on that defensive structure, which has always needed work from day one. But I'm going to let them play with a bit more freedom whilst we keep working on that in the training ground for the next few weeks. And then we can slowly mould it in when we play Arsenal for the second time, when we play a high-flying Newcastle at home. They're the games you want to try and play the low defensive block and try and get something out of, because they should be, in a relegation battle with the greatest respect, they should be free hits. But when we're playing, I know they've had great seasons, but when we're playing a Fulham and a Crystal Palace at home, that's when we've got to go at them, because that's the only time they seem to lose games, is when teams show they're not scared of them. And that's just something for me when I was like, well, this isn't going to work out, is it? Because you couldn't even kick on from beating Spurs.
Yeah.
No, he never ever took advantage of any momentum.
Looking at this, like you say, his first game he came in, we beat West Ham United 3-1. Second game we drew with Brighton, and that West Ham were down there with us. Brighton were actually doing quite well, and you're suddenly thinking, maybe we've made the right decision. And then at the end of the season, like you say, as you said, we could have ended up going 4 unbeaten. But it was the shit sandwich that was in between that.
Yeah, and it was an ultra deluxe large shit sandwich that was about that big in between decent runs of performances. And again, I know we kind of said, oh, well, we were a bit lucky this game, and we actually played well this game. There was mixed opinions throughout on all 3 of them games that we actually got the results on near the end. We played well, but it was Southampton. Of course, we want their manager. We played well, but it was against the Ipswich, whose back had broken eventually. They were resilient, but we were always going to beat them because it's Ipswich. Played really well against Forest. Well, enjoy your qualifier, Forest. Anyway, sorry, I didn't like that. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Sorry, I didn't get smug about that. But the problem is, Chris, they were just as good, and I say that with tongue in cheek, as the performances against West Ham and Brighton, and he just never materialised putting 2 and 2 together. And I know there's a big gap between it, but it's like, why? We averaged in our last 4 games, we got 7 points. out of a possible 12. I'm not saying we would have done that in brackets of 4 all the way through, but if we'd have got anywhere between, 3 to 7 points in between them gaps, and even the odd 2, or 1 in that Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal bracket, it would have balanced itself out, Chris. And like we said, might still have ended in relegation, but a bit like the relegation 2 seasons before, at least we could have said, well, we at least took it the distance, and that's just my biggest gripe with how we've gone down this season.
Well, I'm just looking here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points under Steve Cooper. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 under Ruud van Nistelrooy. But obviously, there was only, I think, how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4.
It was 12 games for
13, actually, I think it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 games, you're right, because he wasn't there for the Brentford game, was he?
No, that was when Ruud was in the stands.
Yes, yeah. So, I'm not saying we would have been any better off under Steve Cooper, but I don't think we would have been any worse off, would we?
No, in fact, I feel like we would have come into the run of games we've just had. We'll call it the mini spell of the season, like the shortest DVD release of our season review ever, these last 4 games. I feel like we'd have come into it going, we've got half a chance here. If we can just get a couple of wins on there out of these, we might just do something miraculous here and relegate someone like Tottenham, which we would have been. And I'm not just saying that because it's Tottenham. They were the team that we finished below.
Yeah.
And again, and people might say, oh yeah, but 10 points. Oh, it's not asking a lot. I mean, okay, you may be saying it's got to be 11 because of goal difference, but you change one thing, butterfly effect, you might change that. I'm not saying the goal difference will improve too much, but let's say it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's 4 wins we've got to find from that. What was that period between Spurs and the end of the season? You're telling me we couldn't have got
Well, after Spurs, we played Everton, Arsenal, Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Newcastle United. These are all the games we lost. Liverpool, Wolves. I mean, we could have got a few draws and possibly wins against the West Hams.
I'm saying you got. I mean, I heard West Ham in there. Everton was the biggest.
100%, yes.
Yeah, that had to be the game, especially after Spurs, where we just even a good point would have continued it. Yeah. So we probably, let's say you've got 6 points there, Chris. You've got Fulham and Crystal Palace before that, and that big gap between the Brighton draw and the either side of that Spurs win. There is more than enough points there that Leicester could have gone out and got had they been a bit more aggressive and attacking. And I said this in the post-match, and I'm standing by it now. I'm not saying we would stay up because it'd be too harsh to say that that Steve Cooper would have got the points that we needed. But I feel like we'd have gone into that Brentford game with a lot more motivation than just trying to end the season on a high. Because I feel like, as much as he frustrated fans, I feel like half the fan base had short memories and thought, Nottingham, scumbag. Where's Morgan, Martin O'Neill? I'll say no more. There's many more, right? 2 of our most successful stories came from Nottingham. I feel like people need to forget that mentality when it comes, especially to a man.
Yes.
And I feel like the other half of the fan base was still living in 2015-16. Oh, we've got counter-attack. No, if we'd have done that all season, then we would have probably still been in a bad position. It's picking and choosing the right opposition and moments to play that style of football. And we just missed the boat so many times this season. You know what I mean? We could have at least been going into Bournemouth knowing if Spurs lost and we won, we might have stayed up, sort of thing. That sort of scenario, which, as you saw with their fucking performance against Brighton, would have happened.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think for me, the telling result there, having come off a win against Tottenham, who, okay, whatever the struggles were in January, you're thinking that's a good win against you would have said a top 10 side. And then to go to Everton, was Sean Dyche in charge of Everton? No, he wasn't.
No, this was David Moyes. David Moyes.
Go to Everton, not only lose 4-0, but concede one of the fastest goals in history and the fastest goal of the season.
Yeah, it's the manner of that defeat, Chris. Like you said, it wasn't just the scoreline, because all right, 4-0, it's a bad scoreline. We're not trying to say it's not, but you can have a game where, you know, Leicester had shown it all season, where we were in the game to the 70th minute. Everton scored a quick, you know, if it had been like that, maybe we could have argued it a bit differently. But the fact is, we worked our arse off for 90 minutes to give ourselves a bit of confidence to throw it away within 10 seconds in the next game.
Yeah.
And it was laughable, because I feel like, maybe, I don't know about you, I know you did the stream, Chris, but I watched it. And I was joking with my housemate that we were going to batter Everton 4-0. Reminded me. Do you remember Fan Zone when the Leeds?
Yeah, that immediately came to my mind. I've got to say, yeah.
Felt like that. And I actually, as I got upstairs in the stream and we were just about to kick off, I said, no, look, watch us go and concede within the first 30 seconds now. And he laughed up and he'd gone and watched the Newcastle.
So it's your fault then?
Yeah, it was. It was my fault. I jinxed us. But within 10 seconds, he heard me laughing, and I said, you won't fucking believe this. He went, no. And I went, yep, they've scored straight from kickoff, pretty much. And I believe it was our kickoff, wasn't it?
I can't remember. I'm trying to sort of take it out of my memory, if I'm honest with you, you know. but yeah, I mean, but look, let's delve into this then. Look, I mean, I wonder, before we get into the match itself, this was how last season finished. When Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United came down, the three promoted sides. I will read that out because I know it is probably quite small for you. But basically, Sheffield United had 16 points, Burnley had 24, Luton had 26. We couldn't even get more points than bloody Luton Town.
Yeah,
no disrespect to Luton, but what the fuck? You know, I mean, we are a side that had only been out the Premier League for one season. You know, when we came up, us and Southampton, you know, you could say to Ipswich, who were, I suppose, this season's Luton, like, you know, they're coming up, they maybe don't know what to expect, etc., etc. We did. We'd only been out the damn League One season. It's like when Newcastle went down under Rafa. He brought them straight back up, and he kept them up. I don't know.
And the most damning thing is there, Chris, is the shocking similarities between the three clubs that went up that went down the season before. And what I mean by that is Sheffield United and Southampton were both woefully crap, right? And I know the positions are a bit different, but I'm going to say Luton and Ipswich were gave everything, but it just didn't have enough talent on the pitch and, to go and actually really give themselves a chance to survive, but you wanted them to, because you knew everybody thought they had no chance, but they didn't in the end. And Leicester and Burnley, well, I mean, they did it with a Belgian. Maybe that's where we went wrong, because he somehow got the Bayern Munich job, which still tickles me now knowing he's got the
Yeah, he won the league with them.
I know, it makes me laugh to think you come 18th in the Premier League on 24 points. Maybe that's what Ruud's going to do. Maybe he'll get the bloody Barcelona job. I don't know.
I'm not saying that Germany is anything like Scotland, but Brendan Rodgers.
Well, I mean, Rodgers bottled the final against Aberdeen, so
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
Casper's fault as well, own goal. Just saying,
I haven't seen it that much. Did he score an own goal?
I just saw it on the video. Someone who I know who's a big Aberdeen fan, he posted the picture and it was given. But anyway, my point is, right, Burnley fans will tell you, and your adopted son Dan, the Burnley fan. Oh, I wish he changed his channel name to that. Brilliant. He should do.
No, but then he'd still be Dan, the Ipswich fan or whatever. He wouldn't get away from that.
No, he wouldn't. But my point is, Chris, they will tell you that they played the same stubborn style football that they played in the Championship, and it just didn't work. And Burnley were actually, I think, at one point just as bad, if not worse, than Sheffield United, until he then went, this isn't working. A bit like Rude, but way earlier, in fact, to be fair to him, probably about 5 or 6 games earlier than Rude did it. He kind of went, this really isn't going to keep us up, is it? If we've got any chance, we've got to have to do this. And he changed the style of play, gave the players a bit of freedom, and they got a few wins near the end of the season. Obviously, the damage was already done. So once they started losing again, the momentum went and the race was done. But Leicester's kind of, what I mean? Not only has history repeated itself, but all 3 teams copied the same homework. Change a few answers, get a few better, lower grades and whatever. And obviously, that's what we've got. Southampton or Sheffield United, Leicester or the Burnley, who themselves, Chris, should have known what they were coming up against that season. Yeah. Being in the Premier League for a few seasons.
Yeah, that's fair point. Yeah, fair point.
Obviously, being the new boys like Ipswich. Ipswich have been in it a few years.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
the league, the gap wise. Yeah.
I mean, I just think that's very damning when we can't get as many points as Luton. I mean, and I just, like I say, I was talking about whether Martin or Russell, Martin or Russell, either Martin or Rude, and on a show earlier, and my attitude just is anyone but Rude. I just think the atmosphere is so toxic now that if he stays, we need a fresh air. And like I said before, I'd have Peter Taylor back over Ruud van Nistelrooy at the moment. I'd have Harry Bassett back, or whatever he was called, over, Ruud. Simply because he has overseen such a toxic season, and I'm looking here at the I mean, that's, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games that we lost, and we beat Tottenham in the middle of that. But how many of those games were the same players coming out time and time again, the same formation? If he'd come out and was saying, like, look, we need to change things around, we need to try something different. 15 games and you've not worked that out, I'm sorry, there's no way that clown stays at our club. If he'd put and he's a bullshitter as well. We absolutely know that. I'm going to play Monger and Evans this weekend. He announces that to the world. It's put in print. Where's Evans? Nowhere to be seen. He must have been absolutely fucking devastated. He's fallen out with Winks. He's fallen out with Vestergaard. There must be such a toxic atmosphere at that club. Get him out.
Yeah, Chris, and not just him. Get rid of the people that have also made the mess. And again, look, light could shine out that the person who actually made these mistakes could be someone else. But whoever it is back in that office that's done the bad job, and we know 2 of them who we're laying the blame at as fans, but they've got to go as well, Chris, because we don't have a Ruud van Nistelrooy managing this club. We don't have with the greatest of respect, I know he tried his best, but we don't have a beyond it Dean Smith trying to save us because we
I'd have him back. I would definitely have him back.
I thought he was. I actually rated. I'm not again, but I'm saying, Chris, we got him because we didn't have a pot to piss in.
Yes.
We got Rude because we haven't got a pot to piss in. And it seems we're appointing everybody's least wanted manager because we're not going to have a pot to piss in. This all stems back from deep within the club. And then people need to have some cojones, some actual balls about themselves and just say, look, we have got us in this mess. Take responsibility, because I don't know how you can sit there and get asked the question, how did we get in this FFP charge, and go, oh, well, we budgeted really well for Champions League. Why are you gambling on this club's future potentially on allowing them and this is going back to when we've gone backwards and forwards over this many a times, Chris. I think it is an absolute farce, and I would sack them immediately for saying, oh, well, I let the manager spend more because I didn't tell him we need to get Champions League. I just told him to spend more because you said the objective was European football. Because that's what it feels like, Chris. The miscommunication right throughout the club has led to in-depth.
When it started, when Brendan Rodgers didn't get his, his reset, and we all blamed Brendan, we now know it was down to the hierarchy. They just don't talk. Out of a possible 51 points, when I said we'd lost those 15 games, well, out of a possible, because we then actually won, drew with Brighton. So we actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 games. And did you know I'd gone to school and I can count?
I know, right?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So out of 19 games, which was out of a possible 57 points.
And if we'd have got a point with each 19 games, Chris?
No, that's it. Out of 57 points, we got 4. That is damning, in my opinion. If like I say, I've been a manager of a sales team, and if that had been one of my staff members producing that sort of performance, well, I wouldn't have let it get to that, to be honest with you, because when we got past post-Tottenham, I'd have had them in the office going, okay, what's going on? Do you need more training on how to sell? Do you need more training on closing? On your opening techniques? Not just let him carry on and carry on and carry on. If that was a business, that business would have gone bust. And I do not want that man to be anywhere near the rebuild and the reset of this club.
No. And I agree with you on that statement. And I know I've said in the past about what I'm about to say here, I've kind of tongue-in-cheek said we did a Watford before it was cool, sort of thing, i.e. sacking managers a lot. But our original structure, Chris, would not have stood for it.
Yeah.
And if we got to such a cowardly position financially that the board top, fuck Rudkin and them, they're not bored. They're not bored as far as I'm concerned. They don't own the club. They do not have a pound or a pence invested in this club, right? It's Top and his family, the Asher-Watt family, or however you pronounce it. Apologies for poor pronunciation. I'm just going to call them the Top family, right? You think, Chris, right, when they first came in, and what was his name? Paulo Sousa was in charge. And he did not win a game. And I remember his last game in charge, Matty Fright scored a hat-trick and got sent off as we lost 4-3 to Norwich. All right? And that was his last throw of at it because he completely changed the lineup, he completely changed tactics, and we still lost. And then I think a day or two later, it was announced Paulo Sousa was sacked. I think that was 12 games into the season. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, that could have been, Chris, when we brought Sven-Göran Eriksson in.
Was, yeah, I believe.
And then Sven-Göran Eriksson was given a bit more time because I think we'd gone through managers thick and fast then with the whole Nigel Pearson fiasco. or before that, maybe it was just, I don't know, I can't remember, my brain's a bit scrambled when it was. But we eventually just got to a point where, okay, he's building, we're a lot better now than what we were under these managers, the Holloways and whatnot. And we just didn't take it. And now it felt like Topper's just watched this season, and understandably where fans' reactions come from, Chris, but it just feels like he's watched this season going, I can't do anything about it. And not because, you know, he hasn't got the power to say so, because he's in charge. Right? He could do something about it. What I mean is he's going, if I sack him, we're more than fucked.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's been led to be financially tied to sack Rude, because I just can't understand how this ownership's gone from, no. You're not doing this to our club. Get out to...
You could say that it's gone like that because of the, you know, Vichai and then Top, but at some point you've got to get past saying, well, this will happen to Vichai, you know. But I want to move on because I'm concerned about the time, mate. Concerned about the time. Very quickly, Scott said in hindsight he didn't really have a successful transfer window. No, he didn't, but the one that he did get, he never fucking played, and now he sent him off to train because he actually said he wasn't happy. I'm sorry, you know, you buy right back. Well, we've done this so many times. Buy right back and carry on playing the left back. When I saw that, well, first of all, I was thinking, where the hell is El Canous? Where the hell is Wilfred Ndidi? Ndidi was apparently ill. Manny said he had a bad case of transferitis, and El Canous was probably sat at home having a game of chess, making sure he didn't get injured, ready for his transfer. But it's your last game, you're down. What does it matter? If we've got to rely on the youngsters next season, which we may have if we get a transfer embargo, etc., don't have them sat on the bench. Put them out and just say to them, look, guys, we're down. We've got nothing to play for. Bournemouth are not particularly fighting particularly hard because they've got nothing to play for. Go out and enjoy yourself. And he sticks them on the fucking bench.
Yeah, absolutely madness. Because, look, let's just say that, that them players are, ill or family matters. And that's, as obvious as it might sound, because it happens a lot in football, they weren't just making sure they were well preserved for a quick transfer, shall we say, given the the confirmed with Wilf and the rumoured release clause of Canous. Maybe it's best of both if that is the case. Whatever the reasoning, Chris, they weren't picked. Okay, so I'll quickly break down that team of who I think is going to be
very quick, because, like I said, we've got to try and get a lot into 2 hours. So
with Stolarczyk, Thomas, McAteer, are you? Because of experience, I don't see any of them being here next season. So, like you said, Chris, why wasn't that bench starting? And one thing, Chris, if we're not risking, or they are in the deal, right? Why are we playing a loanee? Why did the loanee come on? Who's not going to be here next season?
Well, that was going to be my next question. Are you reading my notes or what here?
These glasses have got something built into them. You can't see.
Where's the camera? My argument is, once we were confirmed as being relegated, why the hell did he even get on the pitch? All right, you could argue, we maybe wouldn't have beaten or got something. Well, we have to forget who we scored against now. Is it Southampton?
No, he scored against Forest.
Against Forest, all right. So you could say we could have possibly lost that. But what is the point of playing the loanee when we've relegated? We're not, like you say, we're not going to have him next season. The other ones, like you say, may or may not go. That we're not 100% sure. But that loanee, just say thanks very much. You've done your best for us. We've appreciated it. But you're not going to be on the bench now because we want to blood some of the youngsters. And this is the man that some people are saying, he's going to be better than Russell Martin. I mean, I'm not saying that Russell Martin's going to be better than him, but I'd sooner have a pumpkin in charge. At least he can make these sort of decisions and say, well, we're down now. Let's soon as we're relegated, we should be starting to prepare for next season. Ruud van Nistelrooy couldn't prepare himself for a shit.
No, he'd miss the bog, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, Chris, it baffles me. And again, I know throughout the seasons we've seen some very contentious lineups from teams, and rightly fans have been angry, going, "Well, you've just gave them." By doing that, it became a tradition to play youngsters. But like you said, Chris, we're down, and Bournemouth couldn't get European football.
Yeah.
So if Bournemouth wanted to go full strength, which they did, that's on them. They're risking injuries. That's not on us. Chris, I would have played a Coley, Golden, a Kulu, Baybrook, Evans, and Monga.
I agree. God, we're going to have to stop this. I agree with you. 100% there, Brad.
Yeah, the obvious subs are being missed for reasons, Chris. You know what I mean? It's just...
Yes. I can't... Let me come around and kiss your feet. I agree with you. But these are the things should have been happening once we are relegated. Really,
Especially, Chris, if you're trying to keep a 15 and 17-year-old at your club and they're not wanting him to get pinched by tribunal.
Let's not forget, Evans actually did get a minute the other week against, I forget who it was, but he got a minute on the pitch. Wow.
Chris.
Do you know what's worse, and this kind of sums up Ruud as well, is that when he announced this team, the Leicester Mercury, I think, put it out as 5 at the back. The BBC put it out like this at 4 at the back. And I think the TV company that was showing it put it out as a 3 at the back. Nobody had a fucking clue what Ruud was doing. And I have to say, that includes the 11 people that are shown on that chart there.
Yeah, exactly, Chris. And again,
I feel like I'm shouting. I'm not shouting at you here, Brad.
I know. And again, more infuriating to pick the point, Chris. McAteer is quite versatile. Now, I know he's preferred right-sided player. I understand that, but fuck it. If we're going to play Justin on the right on his left back, why not?
Yeah.
There's your opportunity. You want to say to a 15-year-old and you want to be able to say to a Premier League tribunal to when Man City eventually come knocking on our door in the next week or so, for Monga, no, stay here, kid. Why the fuck are we playing a left wing back at left wing when we've got that sort of talent on the bench? If you're trying to convince the fans and them that this is the place for their future, why? Why are we? I mean, Ruud just likes putting. What's your expression you say about round holes and square pegs and round
holes? Yes. Yeah.
Ruud is really good at that game at putting squares in and all that shit.
Had we lost against Southampton, Forest and Ipswich because we played the youngsters or tried something different, would the fans be any more angry than they are now?
No, because I feel like they would have gone... If you'd have seen fight and effort, and a team that's average age would have been about 20, probably, and that's only because Cody and Ayu were in there taking it into the 20s.
Yeah.
You'd have gone, all right, so we drew with Southampton. All right, so we lost 2-1 to Ipswich and we lost 2-0 to Forest. And okay, we got beat by Bournemouth. But at least we know that these lads have been blooded in and shown what they can do. And next season they'll come up against opposition where, funny enough, they'll have teammates, Chris, like Alves, like Ben Nelson, and like Braybook, who have gone out and got first team experience. Obviously, Braybook, Scotland, and Alves and Nelson were playing in the Championship. So that support will be...
Yes, yeah. And look, I want to talk as well, and this is getting me really, really annoyed. And I just realised I'm not sure where I've put it, that I've not actually loaded something up. So the substitutions. I mean, look, we didn't make any substitutions till 70 minutes. 71 minutes, and he started with Daka, who he came out and said, I actually was interested in Daka when I was at PSV. Well, he obviously isn't interested in Daka because he never picked him very hardly this season. Picked him this season. Oh, let's pick a player that we know can't score over, a young Evans who just might do it. But he took Daka off for Brenette. Skip went off for Ricardo, Mr. Sicknote. Thomas went off for Monga. And then on 86 minutes, McAteer went off for Evans. Wow, let's give Evans 4 minutes in the last game of the season, see what he can do. Oh no, I've got a better idea. Let's give Aluku 1 minute of normal time against a team that, when we're already relegated and see what he can do. Doesn't got a fucking clue. This guy, Ruud van Nistelrooy, must be the country's first surviving brain donor. That went better than I expected. It's true. Here we go. He must be, mustn't he?
I mean, you say he must be the first successful living brain donor. I say he was the first failed one because they were going to give this poor person a brain, but Ruud volunteered to open it up and they realised there was nothing inside it.
Well, I'm going to say the other thing, of course, is that I feel sorry for the poor bugger that got his brain. So he's
given the brain to give himself a bodily function again. I think you'd rather just be a vegetable than have Ruud's brain.
Mrs. Smith, I'm sorry, but your husband, he needs a brain transplant if he's to survive. But we have got a brain donor. Oh, yeah, who is it? Oh, it's a certain Mr. Van Nistelrooy. Let him die. Let him die, please. Let him die. No, but that's what it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's like, my life's already bad enough. I don't need that.
But I mean, any of those substitutes, they're either wrong or the wrong time.
Do you know when the best time
how did Smokey stay on the pitch, for example?
Well, yeah. Do you know when the best time would have been to have had them players on the pitch, Chris? Yeah, it'd have been at 0 minutes. 0 minutes. Maybe not for the players that they came off for. Like, you could have had, you could have dropped Christensen and put Evans in the starting lineup. You could have, kicked Oliver Kerb all the way back to Tottenham for all I give a rat's ass. Or Skip and started it. Or here's the thing, Chris, and I know he's probably someone we're going to be heavily relying for his experience last season. Why did we not put... in fact, I'll give you one better, Chris. Why didn't we put Ayew up front as the striker and play Monga behind him?
Because that's too fucking obvious, Brad.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I mean...
I forgot the board game was the most complicated board game in the world.
It didn't Brian Clough once say football is a simple game complicated by tactics or something along those lines. I've completely messed his saying up, but something along those lines. But I mean, it's funny, and I did say this during the watch along. At 0-0, does Ruud van Nistelrooy stick or twist? And in fact, the lady commentator, I have to say, like I said at the time, Joey Barton, if you're listening, cover your ears. That lady commentator was probably one of the best commentators I've listened to this season. She really knew what she was talking about. She was explaining the VAR decisions, and she got them spot on. But he didn't stick. He twisted. Oh, we lost 2-0. But up until that point, we're holding on at 0-0. Not saying that this is what happened, but sometimes do we make substitutes just for substitute's sake?
I feel like it's become the norm because I feel like, and it's not just Leicester, it's any manager. I feel like sometimes falls into that trap because whilst I totally understand and back the idea that we need to be allowing more substitutions because I feel like we should have met in the middle and gone 4, and then you could have had the 5th could be a concussion sub. You know what I mean? It could have been something like that, or an emergency injury sub, i.e., stretch it off, something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like 5's too much because I feel like they've just got into the luxury of going, well, I can make 3 subs, and if someone gets injured, at least I've got 2 more in the bag.
And I can bring 2 on later just to break play up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily delay because they have that time on now, but, we're holding on 1-0 here. They're really on top. Make a substitution. It will just break play up.
Yeah. And I feel like it's just become a bit easier for managers. I don't think there's any tactical brain use really in many substitutions, is there? It's just like we need a different approach. Have we got a different type of winger? Yeah, put him on then. Yeah, that'll do it.
It's not working. Well, tell you what, let's take off a left midfielder and put on a left midfielder.
Yeah.
Right. I just think we do sometimes. The substitutes are there. Did Aluku make any difference when he came on? No disrespect. Well, none of them did, if I'm honest with you. But to be fair, Aluku didn't. Evans didn't, because they haven't got time to really influence the game. So just make substitutes when you need to. And looking back, we used to complain about Brendan not making substitutes, but maybe we want somebody sort of in between. But let's have a look at this match again in more detail. I hadn't loaded it up, but I have found it now. I know you're not. Tactics aren't your favourite. Stats aren't your favourite part. But I've put the stats right down to one slide for you, Brad. So I'm trying to be kind to you. Right. So on the top one there, that's the BBC's new momentum. Oh, he's gone. Have I scared him off?
No, sorry, I was settings popped up. I'm trying.
No, it's all right. No, mate, I didn't know whether you'd gone. It's the new momentum, whatever you want to call it, match momentum. But basically shows, I think, who has control of the game at the set time. There isn't much, but you can just about see a little bit of white at the bottom. That's us.
Yeah, I think I thought that was just a little bit of splodge of Tipex on me screen for some reason. But apparently, you're saying that is Leicester's dominant spell, and that just, if you want to typify how Ruud van Nistelrooy's tactics played out throughout the season, that sheer dominance by Bournemouth says it all. I mean, Jesus Christ, that Pac-Man's eating that black blob whole.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, total touches inside the box. Bournemouth, 52. Just take that thing. They had 52 touches in our box. Leicester, in their box, 12. If that had been Liverpool, they would have put about 9 past us. They just didn't. They obviously were shooting and heading everywhere but the goal up until they scored. And their goalkeeper did not have to make one save.
Yeah, if I remember a few times in our last relegation season, Chris, Matt Elliott was on commentary infamously for one of them, where we had a shot and then Matt Elliott turned around to the guy who, obviously his job's trying to make it sound, commentates exaggerated, don't they, on the radio. They try and make it sound a bit better than what it was. And I think it was a tame shot that went on target. And Matt Elliott went, yeah, but why is it taking till the 92nd minute for us to have a shot on target? And at least in that game now, I'm thinking back to it, at least we had one on fucking target. That was the most embarrassing thing. Although, I mean, technically we did have one on target. In fact, we did score. It's just McAteer was about 7 years offside.
Well, let me read you. These tactics aren't up there, but let me just read you these from a defensive goalkeeper perspective. Their goalkeeper, who is the goalkeeper that I wish that maybe he would donate his brain as well, because I just can't stand that man. I really, really can't. If anybody was to go up for a stage, fall over, break his leg and end his career, I really do hope it's him. I
Tell us
just
how
think.
you really feel, Chris.
Sorry.
Tell us how you really feel.
I just think he's a wanker. I think after what he did when he was in Chelsea in that final to Sarri, I think he deserves any bad luck that comes his way. But he had nothing to do. He had no punches. He only took 3 goal kicks. He only threw the ball out 3 times. He had no saved shots, no saved shots from outside the box, no saved shots from inside the box, no diving saves, no saves full stop.
Yeah,
That is utterly embarrassing.
yeah, you know the moments where we said the goalkeeper could have gone and played cards in the stands or something. It was definitely one of them moments, and you know, it's embarrassing, Chris. It's embarrassing in a game where there was absolutely nothing for either team except for a little bit of pride. You know, i.e., Leicester ending it 4 unbeaten and Bournemouth finishing as high as they possibly could. You know, if results went their way, sort of thing. Why does that game look like? Well, that game looks like a team that was either needing to win to stay up and they've thrown everything at us to get the win, or a team that needed to win to get into European football and threw everything at us to get the win. And the reality is, Chris, no team gained anything other than a little bit of pride from a positive result. And the fact that game looks like a mid-season game, you know, Bournemouth cooking on form and trying to get wins to push for Europe is starting. I know you have some bizarre games at the end of the season. It's not a good read, is it, Chris?
No. Just to quickly sidetrack very quickly, apparently Man United have held talks with Brentford star Mbeumo. Can I just say, Mr. Mbeumo, or however you pronounce it, don't go. End of. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, don't do it to yourself.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you want to do this or not, but let me look. Do you want to? Is there anything for you to talk about? Do you want to talk about anything?
Same shit, different day.
That's probably the quickest tactic talk you've ever done. But it's got worse when last few you had something to talk about because we were winning. This one, like you say, it's just, like I say, it has literally just ruined my faith in this guy 100%. You know?
Chris, it's like he went, whoa, guys, what are we doing getting 7 points out of 9? That's not why I asked you to play. Back to the way we did against Newcastle, please. And the other 14 games before that. Same shit, different day.
Yeah, 100%. Right, we're going to look at in fact, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to put this up here in the corner because we're going to look at the player ratings and compare against Jordan. I have a feeling that we might hear a little bit of naughty language from the bottom half of this show. But will you please do this for me, guys?
Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and make sure you never miss another upload. Leave a like now. Ring the bell and never miss another video.
Right, are you ready to do this, Brad?
No.
I'm not even going to write this lot down because I think it'd be too embarrassing. Right, remember we go up against Jordan Blackwell from Leicestershire Live. He rates the players straight after the game, and in fairness, he's at the game. He's not just watching it on telly as we are, so that can make a difference. And then we come up at the end after we've compared our ratings. We come up with sort of man of the match, etc., etc. So we're going to dive into this, and well, we've done it all season, so why not carry on? We'll start with the starting 11, and please, if you're in the chat and you want to add your own marks to these players, please do feel free to do so. They'll come up down in the bottom corner there.
I just want to say quickly, Chris, I love that new feature. Fair play to StreamYard. I'm not saying they're the only ones that do it, but that little comments popping up in the bottom right. That's a great touch. I like that. I noticed it in the watch along.
Yeah, it has completely fucked all my overlays up, and I've had to redesign them.
But still, it just makes you feel a bit more like match of the day final focus. But it's
It does. Yes. Hopefully, if we've got a mod in, they kick out any bad. If anything comes up that's bad, they can kick that out before it gets on the screen. I don't know if that works or not. But here we go. Anyway, the starting 11. It does. Yes, it does. Because if you notice the watch along, there was me big, and then you and Tom small underneath, so I could still get the big picture, so to speak. But let's start with the man himself, Jakub Stolarczyk. A superb showing with his gloves. Well, what did he expect him to show? Great showing with his shorts. He made a series of strong stops, most notably diving bravely at the feet of Evan Nilsson to deny him from 2 yards out, and then brilliantly tipping Taverner's rocket past the post. With his feet, he was poor. 8.
He's got Casper kicking syndrome. He definitely has that. But yeah, the easiest man of the match out there. You know what? I'm just gonna do it, Chris. It would have been 6 or 7 without him. I'm gonna give him a 9.
A 9. Well, can I say, I don't think he had any chance with either of the 2 goals.
No.
I don't care. What I liked about him was the fact that when the ball came to him, he booted it. Now, whether it went out or not, we know that he says he's got Casperitis. But as soon as the ball goes out of play in their half, then he passes it around the back, dribbling, which, well, very nearly when he did try it, got him into trouble. I'm actually going to go with the first half here. 9.5 for me.
You have to be better. Yeah, all right.
He very nearly got a 10.
You know what, Chris? I was considering it. I'm not going to lie. I considered it. And I took out the fact that he conceded 2 goals because it reminded me, not as many, obviously, but it reminded me of Madsen against Arsenal.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I don't think whether you can give a 10 to a goalkeeper that has conceded 2 goals, I'm not sure. But
the rest were, yeah, you can.
Yes, yeah. Like you say, and I said, it would have been 6 or 7 without him. But he does. I know he can play out from the back, and that's why he's sort of there now rather than Everson. But yeah, he's not good at it. He's not good at it. Right, I'll try and remember to click these over. Mr. James Justin, young man. This is Jordan. Struggled to stop Bournemouth advancing down the flank in the early stages, but he improved and became more aggressive in his defending, and that pushed the Cherries back. He also put in an excellent sliding challenge on Evan Nilsson that he had to get right. That was a superb tackle. He gets a 7 from Jordan. 7.
A fucking 7. A fucking 7. Are you dumb? Are you dumb, Jordan? It's a rhetorical question, Jordan. We know the answer. You're fucking stupid. First of all, it was a brilliant challenge by Justin. He had to get it right.
That was. He gets a point on its own just for that.
He does. He shouldn't have been in that position. Not just because he was playing right back, he shouldn't have been in the centre back, but he shouldn't have been in that position because of his 2 centre back pairings should have been closer together, and he shouldn't have had to deal with it. Very glad, thankfully, was, and he did, but he just goes brain dead when he gets dragged into that central position, Chris, because he doesn't quite know what's over his shoulder. He's a far better player when he's actually out on the position he's supposed to be in. Or at least out on the wing, because he's not supposed to be a right back. But hey ho, if only we signed one in January for about £3 million and didn't leave him in France. But a 7. I think you've ejaculated over one tackle there, Mr. Jordan. I really do, because it was a 4 performance at best. He got ripped to shreds as he has done every single game he's played on that side of the field. Every single time that that, we talk about over the years, Vardy rubbing his hands at slow centre-backs coming up against him, Well, every team that's seen Justin in a lineup on that side of the field is rubbing their hands together because they know they both go down it. You don't know which side to commit to. 4. I'll give him a 4 because he did make some vital challenges.
And I thought I was going to be a bit harsh. 100%. And I do feel like I don't want to say I told you so because that wouldn't be nice of me. So instead of saying I told you so...
I don't know, it's so difficult not to look smug at this point.
And the reason I'm doing that is because I went to Southampton in the Championship. And he'd just come back from injury. And Enzo, some odd reason, played him on the right. Mm-hmm. And I said at that point, this guy cannot play on the right-hand side. And everyone was going like, no, give me it. I thought, well, maybe I'm being unfair because he has just come back from injury. And this was a game that we pretty much stuffed Southampton.
Which one?
Yeah. When you look at when I was looking at the game, I'm thinking like, oh, what a surprise. Guess what? Bournemouth are attacking down their left, our right. I wonder why that is.
Probably the same reason every other team did.
Yeah, exactly. He did make that good. I'm going to give him a 5 because he got a tackle, and I've dropped down to what I was thinking. Now, unfortunately, I'm not putting the wig on because I'm sure that it's got nicked. Mr. Wout Faes. He defended the box really well for most of the game, with Bournemouth piling the pressure on. He was bailed out by Justin when he missed a header to let Van Nielsen through.
You give him a what?
A 7.
I mean...
I don't want to put any pressure on you here, mate, but it was my deserves a mention.
To be fair, it was one of his more solid performances at the back, and minus that moment where he misjudged the ball and Justin bailed him out, he probably had a fairly solid game. Let's be honest. I think he was fairly solid. He wasn't actually that bad. I'm going to give him a 6.
6. Now, he didn't put any tackles in, but then again, apart from Thomas, nobody did really. But he put in more clearances, or he made more clearances than the rest of the back 3, 5, 4, whatever it was. And like I say, he did get my deserves a mention. I can't, although therefore I suppose you say he's my second favourite, I'm going to give him a 6 as well, Brad. And that, to say that he's my deserves a mention, but you'll see when we get to the other the other scores why 6 probably he got him out of that. Right, Mr. TalkSport, Connor Cody, captain. He perhaps didn't do as much defending in the box as Faes, but he was still solid. He's susceptible to balls over the top and in behind, sometimes letting Van Nielsen get free too early. And let's be honest with you, he got away with one. And again, fair play to VAR for getting it on. I thought it was a penalty. I thought it had happened in the box. He was lucky, and I'm going to say lucky, that Wout Faes was close enough to be considered being able to cover. Otherwise, we'd have got a penalty and he would have got a red card. As it happened, it was a free kick and it was a yellow card. Like I say, he gets a 6 off Jordan.
It should have been. You've summed it up perfectly, Chris. If it wasn't for a lot of factors, and the factors were that he didn't continue to foul into the box, which I'm not quite sure on that rule, how you can foul someone outside the box, but because the momentum falls in the box, it's a potential penalty. No, the foul is the foul is where the foul is, not where it ends up. You mean?
Fair play to VAR. I thought the referee and VAR had a good game.
Yeah, the referees were spot on for a change, and it's refreshing to say that. Let's have that first of all. But my God, is this guy an absolute liability? You have had your begrudgings with Wout Faes, and since you put the wig on, he's been playing better. So if he's still in next season, Chris, I expect every watch along. Well, maybe you should donate it to Wout Faes so he can wear it on top of his. It seems to give off strong powers.
Yeah.
I just, not only do I not like him, I just didn't like his performance. He got beat every time. And I've noticed something, Chris. He has this same magnetic force field that must have been around Castagnet with Faes 2 seasons ago, Chris. Because you remember when I used to say that Castagnet was so close to Wout Faes, he was up his arse.
Yes.
Sometimes Conor Cody's so close to Jakub Stolarczyk, it's like he's trying to play rush goalkeepers with him. You know, he was so deep and close towards him. I felt worried for Jakub's safety.
Yeah.
It's a 3, mate. He was just dog.
Yeah, I've gone 4. 4. I don't know why. Let's see. Next up, Luke Thomas. Now, look, what I loved was when he walked off the pitch, the fans were singing "He's one of our own," and I don't know if you saw the huge smile he had on his face. Now, whether that was because he was getting taken off and he didn't have to finish the game, or it was because the crowd was singing it, I don't know. But it was nice to see a Leicester player smile. He pressed really aggressively, says Jordan, and effectively early on, but then picked up a silly yellow card, and yes, it was a silly yellow card, and so had to tone it down. He put in one wicked cross, but his delivery was poor thereafter, while he lost the ball near his own box in one poor moment. He got a 5 off Jordan.
I was really, really disappointed that in 96 minutes of football, Chris, we did not get to see Luke Delap Thomas deliver a long throw into the mixer. Last game of the season, just give us one Luke Rory Delap throw for us to enjoy. It wasn't the case. Ironically, Chris, being as Mr. Ruud van Nistelrooy loves to play players out of position or on the wrong side, if he was going to play them in any order, I reckon we'd have benefited from playing Thomas at left wing, not Christensen.
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like Christensen gives you that injection of pace to get you further up the field, but then Luke Thomas has the ability to get past, running behind and get that ball put into him to maybe have got crosses in. And I believe at times when he's got forward, he's shown that Harvey Barnes-esque of cutting inside and going. But it wasn't up there with recent performances, and he set a high pedestal.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing. What I'm saying is he's played so well that this was a bit of a call-off game, if anything. I'm going to give him a 6.
Yeah, I concur with everything you said there. I like Luke Thomas, and I think what I like about Luke Thomas is how he's gone from. And
Chris, I need to quickly go and water the plants.
Yeah, no, that's fine. For me, how he has gone from everybody's, boo boy, the terrace boys didn't like him, everybody on social media, he was shit at Sheffield United and shit at Middlesbrough, and we're talking now about him being one of the players of the rebuild, as Brad says, Redemption United. So I liked him in this, so I've given him 6.5. I can't go to a 7 because the overall performance wasn't brilliant. Right, moving on, and we'll carry on and let Brad join us when he gets back. Oh, how did this guy stay on the pitch for so long? At fault for one of the goals. Again, look, as Brad would say, that West Ham game, did we see the potential that he has got? But it's like saying we saw Daka's potential against Moscow. Whatever potential he had has disappeared. I don't know about this one. Jordan says in the first half he wasn't really involved, which shouldn't happen for a central midfielder. He passed without conviction too. He livened up when Ricardo came to play next to him, but it was too late. He got a 4. I can't even be that generous. I'm sorry. For me... Oh, he's back. I'll just say, Sumare, in the first half, he wasn't really involved, which shouldn't happen for a central midfielder. He passed without conviction too. He livened up when Ricardo came in to play next to him, but it was too late. He got a 4 off Jordan Blackwell, Sumare. I'm not even going to go that high. I'm going to give him a 2. That should be his last game in Leicester Blue. He's had enough chances.
Great minds think alike, Chris. Now, which one of you am I agreeing with?
I really don't think it's going to be Jordan.
No, it really isn't. Yeah, it's a bit of a... I'm sad, Chris, because he had a spell for 5, 6 or more games where he had that redemption, and it looked like he turned the corner and he was doing really well. And a few times, Chris, he was either honourable mention or man of the match. He had a really good purple patch. But I think he played because Wilfred Ndidi is a selling asset that's going to go out the door quickly. I think he only played because it's one more game in the shop window. 9 million's a steal, so somebody, even if it's bloody someone in Saudi Arabia, is going to pay 9 million for a release. You know what I mean? It's nothing. So you don't need to see what you're getting with Wilf. You're getting a bargain for 9 million. And I'll be honest with you, I'd probably say that's about even keel for him, because I'd say 15 to 20 million you could maybe try and rinse someone for out of him. So why not give Boobo the game? Because you're trying to make as much money as you can. At least a negative loss as it is. It was a horrible game, Chris, for him. Proving yet again, maybe, Chris, if he'd have been given that role on his own and not had Ollie Skip, your love child, next to him, he might have done better. But I'm with you, Chris. Cash in. I don't care if it's 10 million, we lose 14 on him. I don't care what it is. If you need funds quickly, get him gone in the summer. I'm going to agree with you, Chris. As much as it pains me, I'm giving him a 2.
A 2. I mean, I don't think Booba plays very well when he hasn't got Yogi next to him anyway.
Well, maybe without Yogi, you won't have to go around stealing any picnic baskets.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm a child. I know I'm a child. You don't have to tell me, but that's me.
It is, mate. One boob can't play without the other boob.
Well, this is very true. Hey, you might get a few titters with that joke. And thank you for your support. Never heard an away end so toxic, says James. The fans have turned totally on the board. It's time for some accountability. Yeah, I mean, the away fans, they're always more vocal when you're away. But yeah, it was sounding toxic. That is, yeah, I do. I mean, if we had a manager that didn't fall out with players, we might have been able to play a half-decent centre midfielder in Winks. But, and talking of half-decent centre midfielders, we haven't got one because we've got Oliver Skip. Now, I know everybody's hating on Skip, and I have to say, like he did just say then, my love child, the thing that annoyed me about Skip was the thing that annoyed me about Daka last season, is that we were condemning him when we hadn't seen him play. We were condemning him on 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a bit like we would, if we'd have done that against Iheanacho, we'd have hounded him out of the club, because that was all he was getting at the start. But I 21 million for a Premier League midfielder. Don't think it's bad. I think we might see better of him next season. He started the game well. He started the game with a scuffed pass and scuffed shot, and in general lacked the quality required, says Jordan. But he did at least show for the ball, get involved, and support the attack by getting into the box when he could. He got a 5. Look, I've actually given Skip my man of the match a while ago. He did, like you say, he had a bit of a purple patch, and I think Michael sums what we think of Samari up very well there. I was going to. I can't give him a good score because he was absolutely shit. Yes, he got the goal, but it wasn't a goal anyway. But I counted in that first half 19 times we passed the ball to them. Now, I gave up in the second half. I just didn't want to do it because it was depressing me. And I'm sure we did it more than that, but 19 times, because I wrote down we're giving the ball away. So I probably missed the first 10 minutes. I said, again, which we've done all season. This guy was probably 80% of those.
Yeah,
he gets a 2 from me. And that's probably the lowest I've ever given him, but he gets a 2 from me. He was crap this week.
I struggle to note that he was on the field because I think they either ghosted past him in the midfield or he was their best midfielder for supplying them the ball. Apart from the offside goal and shooting it 30 yards over the bar, I mean, his performance, Chris, do you remember when we played Chelsea after we beat them in the FA Cup?
Yeah.
It was a game where we suddenly realised, maybe Brendan was then told we need to get Champions League football, by the way, just so you know, with all the spending. But we played Chelsea at their place, and Jose Perez didn't do much for that.
Hang on. Match bingo. Perez. Got it.
There you go. No, fair play. Go for it. Yeah. No, agree. Yeah. Jose Perez in that game, I think he scored, ironically, which is ironic, and his goal actually counted. But I think he did nothing for about 70 odd minutes. And then for like 10 minutes of the game, he blasted 3 shots over the bar and scored our only goal. We lost 2-1. That's literally the only difference between that performance and Oliver Skip is for 70 odd minutes, he did feck all, then got taken off. And then he had like a 5-minute spell where he, offside goal and blasted one over. Chris, I'm going to give it a 1.
A 1.
Because I only remember him doing one thing the whole match.
No, I get that. I get that totally. Right. Casey McAteer. Jordan said he couldn't keep tabs on Kirkes early on, and Bournemouth were a threat down his side. He improved, but still didn't offer much, bar one break where he battled well to break forward and teed up AU with a decent cross. He got a 5.
Yeah, again, a bit like Luke Thomas, one of the very, very few players you saw fight and grit and determination.
Yeah.
All right, he didn't, it wasn't his day on the pitch. He got beat more down on his side, and he wasn't able to, create many an opportunity. In fact, the RU and the offside goal probably was it. I still think at least we saw some passion, Chris, and at least he was one of the many players we should have seen start that game for preparing for next season. I'm gonna give him a 6.
A 6. I think for me, Casey McAteer is his own success has caused his downfall. He's had a couple of really, really, really good games. And one player, unless you call David Beckham, one player struggles to be really, really good when the other 10 on the pitch are fucking shit. And so it didn't work for him today. 5.5 for me, because I gave Justin a 5. Mr. Ayew. he held the ball up well and was City's best passer of the ball in the first half. He looked most likely to make something happen for City, but in the second half he went missing with poor touches and poor decisions. Got a 5 again.
To be honest, though, Chris, I feel like he gave up the ghost because he felt like at points he was the only one that was actually trying to do something. The longer the game went on, Chris, the deeper and deeper he was having to go to retrieve the ball to try and get Leicester on the front foot. And I'm sorry, I don't care if Jordan Ayew's 32 or 22. You're not going to be able to create anything when you're having to run 50 yards to do it. I'm going to give Jordan, not Blackwell, this Jordan. I'm going to give him a 5.5 because although it died out in the second half, we at least did get some effort from him, which again we struggled to throughout the remainder of this game from a lot of people.
I'm going to pinch, and I think you've said, you coined this phrase, I believe, and I make no apologies for pinching it off you. He should change his name from Jordan Ayew to Jordan Ronseal.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Because I did credit you, but because that he does what you expect, and we've said this so many times. You know what I was told by Rich from the Palace TV fan show was he'll fall over, he'll get you free kicks, he'll hold the ball up for you. And next season, if we don't buy a striker, I hope he's our number one striker. So I'd love to see him up front on his own, not in that number 10 or whatever position just behind the striker. He should be the main striker because the ball will go up to him. He can hold it a bit like Heskey used to, possibly, but he can hold that. And then you got probably not Elkanous, but you might have Elvis, McAteer, Mavadidi, Fatawu, whichever ones are playing, running onto the ball, and he'll go, here's the ball, go and score a goal. Or if they're not quite up with him, he can go down. I mean, a number of times I watched him on Saturday, and I'm thinking, I've got to say, that isn't a free kick, but he'd won a free kick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. That's exactly.
And I have to say, as you know, I couldn't believe how lucky we were to get him at the start of the season. I thought he was such a good signing.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
you definitely, I did not.
you definitely didn't call him an OAP, and
no, I wouldn't do that. But look, again, redemption. You know, Bobby Dakova-Reid can Bobby Dakova off. Keep this one. He gets a. Well, I'm going to agree with Scott there. Scott's given him a 6, and I've given him a 6. And Scott says Ayew is not my favourite player, but he does his bit for the team. Like I've just said, that's what he does. If he's allowed to, like you said earlier, Brad, square pegs, square holes. Who knew?
Who knew, Chris? Who knew such a thing could happen?
Now I don't know where to start with this guy. There was poor passing in the build-up from the Dane, and he didn't offer any threat going forward. Him playing on the wing feels like an experiment that won't last. 4 from Jordan.
Well, it's 4 more than I'd have given him, honestly, Chris. And it's annoying because the amount of times when he's played left back, I said he made great overlapping runs and wasn't given the ball. It just felt like repeat. The team didn't trust him. The players, his teammates didn't trust him. So what's he supposed to do? I didn't know he was on the pitch, Chris. I'm going to be short and sweet. He gets a 1.
Well, you're short. I'll give you that. Yeah, you're going to give him a 1. Yeah, I've been more generous than you because I think that is really, really, really unfair, Brad. I've given him 1.5.
Oh, yeah, you're too kind, Chris.
I am. I've said that. I'm a fool to myself, really, aren't I?
You are. Well, you're a fool, definitely.
Fair play. Right, Mr. Pat Sendaka. Well, he didn't offer anything at all. By God, so sit on the fence, Jordan. The willingness to sprint around at all, bar the willingness to sprint around. But his pressing was totally effective, while his touch was poor. Not involved in any of the attacking moves, which is a bit disappointing when you're the striker. And he got a 3. I've got to be honest with you, Brad. In the post-match reaction, I brought his heat map up. And unfortunately, I can't show the heat map, but it's like the blue that is in my background here on black. So it doesn't show up that well. He was all over the pitch, and I was surprised to see how many touches he got up front. But to say that he was all over the pitch, I expected to see more of him and hear him more, and I just didn't. I don't think I heard, until the Chia said how many touches has Daka had, I don't think I heard the commentator say his name.
No. When a question gets asked like that, and there's not an immediate, well, probably 4 or 5, or he's probably had a fair few, and instead the question is met with silence for 5 minutes before they go, someone's checked it. Yeah. You know, when someone's doing that for a question, Chris, it tells you how ineffective he is. Chris, I always really wanted Iheanacho to be the passing of the torch.
Yes,
I really did, because I just saw something in him, and he did keep showing us glimpses of just what he could do if he was.
He was top goal scorer that season when he was actually played up front in the 2.
I know, right? It's almost like if you play to people's strengths, you get the performance. But hey ho. But Chris, the problem is he's just, he's not had, he's just not had it about him. And I almost feel like at the start of the season, I kidded and made a joke about him and Odds and Edward, saying that Daka's been more effective in the Premier League. And I feel like we only loaned him off Crystal Palace just so we couldn't play him, just to make sure Daka's one goal would keep him in par with Odson.
Yeah.
But this is very rare. Chris, it's even rarer than agreeing with you, but I'm agreeing with Scott. I don't remember him being on the pitch. He did nothing. He offered nothing. I never heard his name. And nothing makes 0. So, yeah.
When you said this is rarer than whatever, I thought you were going to give him a 10.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you're talking most pointless player on the pitch, 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I'm going to make it a hat-trick. I can't disagree. 0. What does he offer? I would have sooner have seen Edward.
What is he good for? Absolutely nothing.
But now you're pinching mine back.
There you go. I got your back that time.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I don't want him here next season. Look, nice enough guy. He had one good game against Moscow. Then his next good game, I think, was West Ham, where he scored that superb goal.
Yeah.
Aston Villa, was it?
No, it was West Ham. You're right.
It was West Ham. And it was somebody in Claret, and he couldn't have been Burnley. But with Iheanacho, and he was a bit like Daka, and this is why, in a way, I'm pleased that Vardy's gone. They weren't getting game time because of Jamie Vardy, and that's understandable. Daka is rubbish. Daka can't cut it in the Championship. For somebody that Ruud van Nistelrooy said he wanted to buy, why wasn't he picking him more? He's only started that game because there was no Vardy. Like I said, I would have sooner have seen Edward, and I know he was going back on loan. I just think, look, he needs to go off and start again somewhere else and try and get a better life, because it's not going to happen for him at this club. And like I say, I agree, a 0. My only reason for actually defending him at times was because I don't think it's fair that he was getting abuse when Jamie Vardy wasn't.
Yeah, agreed. And that was the biggest thing. You would turn around and say, oh, well, Vardy, this, Vardy, that. And it was like, well, he's not going to service. Daka didn't get the service
Yeah.
And the saddest thing is, Chris, if you was to look at where's Daka's touches, I think the fact is that commentator said he has had touches of the ball, 5 of them. Unfortunately, they've all been in Leicester's half.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
wrong box, mate, which isn't his,
Yeah.
again, it's not his fault, but.
No. Right, we're going to be looking now at the substitutes, so we'll rush through these. Ricardo Pereira. City looked much more effective in building attacks in the final third in the few minutes he was on the pitch. Kept his feet, and he can be. Keep him fit. Although Jordan has put keep him fit, and he can be a key player. Yeah, I think Jordan without his feet, I think anybody would struggle to be a key player. To be honest with you, but I just think Jordan's got no soul.
I tell you what, it's a good job this isn't wrestling with baby faces because you'd turn him heel, wouldn't you?
Hey. Oh dear. Anyway, he got a 6 off Jordan. I'm going to give him a 4. I wasn't that impressed with him.
What a shit way to end your career at Leicester.
I hope he is. He's ending his career because when you look at his wages, and I think he's got a few more years on his contract, but when you look at his wages, how much is he getting per minute on the pitch?
Yeah, because it's gone down to that. It's not even per game now, is it? It's per minute he manages.
Yes.
For us, which is sad because I really like him, and he's one of them players you want if he's fit and if he's available. And the only reason I see him staying around is because, well, no, actually I don't, because this arse clown we've apparently got coming in hasn't got a brain cell either. In fact, he must have had the transplant with Rude, and they realised they'll just swap him.
He gets the 3 off Scott. So what? How low are you going? Or high?
Only reason I knew he was coming on the pitch is because I saw his name come on in substitutes. I'll let Jess know. Substitutes 1.
1. Ooh. Right. Well,
he came on the pitch. That was it. That's the only reason I knew.
You just give him a point for coming on. Right. It's that moment of the week, everybody. Are you ready? Yes, everybody, it's Jeremy Monger time.
It's no, don't say that, bro.
we got told off by Jeff. He said he thinks we're going too far now. But get down, Wayne. Get back under that table. Thank you. Jeremy Monger.
Kleenex stocks have gone up.
Hey! There were a couple of moments of nice feet, but not as many as in recent weeks. And there was one overhit cross too. Oh, Wayne won't be happy here with Jordan. He only gave him a 5.
I mean, to be fair, the game was dead and buried. Maybe if we had that electric pace and player running at defenders from, I don't know, half time? No.
Don't
the first fucking minute.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly. No, he's only 15. He can't be doing that.
That's what we said to Wayne and all. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Leicester Till I Die TV. Good night. Do you have anything between here and like a soft copper so that you can turn off?
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Maybe what Fashion's just said is something else that Wayne needs to take note of. Make a note of the time, everybody. It's 1943 on the 26th of May when Leicester Till I Die TV got taken off the air.
The cancellation event, the rise and fall of Leicester Till I Die.
Look, let's move on quickly. Unfortunately, I'm going to stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I am going to give, and let me word this properly. I'm going to give.
You better say it properly.
I'm going to give Jeremy Monga 4 points for his performance. What are you going to give him?
Fucking nothing. No, I'm not getting. Not after the way you bloody well.
You got to at least give him 1.
No. Whatever you said, Chris, is the same rating I'm giving him.
Oh, it's too early. What point score for his efforts on the pitch are you going to give Mr. Monga?
I'm going to give this professional footballer a rating of 4.5.
4.5. Can I say, in all seriousness now, to say, like, for me, because I've given him 4, that he scores more than Christensen, Skip, Sumare, than the same as Cody, and week in, week out, we've given him, he's won man of the match, he's won deserves a mention, and yet he's hardly on the pitch. I don't know how long. He only trains twice a week because, he's got his exams. He's at school during the week the rest of the time, and yet he's outperforming professional footballers on 40, 50 grand a week. That should put them to shame.
Yeah, you think it would have been enough to earn him a start in the last game of the season?
Yes.
No.
Brenette, he got probably because he didn't have too much time on the field. He's allowed to play 90 minutes, mate. Couldn't get into the game. It's a shame he's not been as influential under Van Nistelrooy as he was under Cooper. Maybe if he was played better. Brenette got a 4. I'm going to give him a 2.5. I didn't again really notice he was on the pitch.
Do you know what I find funny, Chris? Right? It's God
help us after what we've just been talking about.
No. This is definitely legal talk. Do you remember the story about Samson who had his strength came from his hair? Yeah. Right? Do you know what I found really funny? He had a haircut about 8 or 9 weeks ago, and he had short hair, and he looked really, he was a bit crap. Ever since he's grown his hair, and he's got a bit of, not hasn't quite got the, but you know what I mean. He's got really thick, black, wavy hair, and he's got like a bit of a wild face trying his best impressions. He's actually now put him back under the desk. All right.
Oh, yes, Vout. Yes.
10 out of 10.
I always want to do James Bond when I've got this. Well, I was expecting you, Mr. Bond.
Just L'Oreal, because you're worth it. It puts your head above the rest.
Right. So very quickly, sorry.
I'm going to give. I feel like he put in more effort than he has done in recent performances. Ran around a bit, but really couldn't do much. 3.5.
The final two, who were Evans and Luco, weren't even really on the pitch long enough to score for. And I'm going to say they weren't on the pitch long enough to score for me either. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be unfair to rate them.
Yeah. Although I noticed when Luco had the ball once, he had about 2 or 3 players on him. But there we go. But nice to see the youngsters getting 3 minutes there. Well done, Ruud. Manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy. I know that Jordan doesn't give him ratings. I'm going to actually give him -5 today for that performance.
Well, you can take 5 more off it for me, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it was embarrassing. It really was, his selection. Now, team performance, it did come in. I mean, the team performance was given by you, myself, you, and Tom. Tom gave.
Well, we say Tom, but Tom had a funny turn with his rating, didn't he?
He did, because Tom gave them a 4. And I think he was just trying to get away from that 5 thing, but 4 was almost as bad. But we do have Alan, and I've got to say a big thank you to Alan for everything he's done this season for us when he's gone to matches home and away. Bloody hell. Fashan, can I have a pint of what you're on, please? But Ruud van Nistelrooy, 3. Bloody hell. But anyway, team performance. He's gone to all the home matches and all the away matches that illness allows, which is virtually 95-96% of them, and he's agreed to do it again next year as well. He's at the match, and as somebody said this morning, he is, when you're at the match, you do see a lot more. Now, man of the match is going to be obvious. Performances, you gave 0, I gave 1. I'm not saying, Alan's a brilliant human being, but he only agreed with one of us, and it was me. He gave them a 1. And I think that was I gave them a 1, and I was being generous, so you gave them a 0.
I was being generous.
Yes, I think you probably were. I don't know what Tom was on. Man of the match, look, if you're in the chat, this is going to be the least surprising man of the match all season. I'm not sure what Prashant's been smoking this night. But man of the match, Jakub Salarczyk. Kept us in it. What a few saves. To be totally honest with you, if Hermansen doesn't go in the summer, I've got a feeling I think I'd prefer Salarczyk to start.
Yeah, I would, Chris. And again, I think regardless of where we'd finish up this season, I actually think Salarczyk should be the number 1. And I think we should make the most on Mads' value in terms of what he can bring to the club in a financial aspect, because for the first time probably since Peggy Arfax had Chris, for me, I don't know about you, I have confidence in our number 2, and I don't want Arfax where we
the hills are calling Danny Ward.
Yeah, and if he wants to keep going up the hill and jumping off them,
Now, something a little bit different this week. Deserves a mention and donkey. I usually pick, but I thought a better way of doing this on the Monday night show is I'm going to give it to the fans. So the fans on the BBC after every game can go on and rate the players, from 1 to 10, and as an average, etc. So the deserves a mention is the player that they've given the most points to, and the donkey is the player that they've given the least points to. For deserves a mention, you said absolutely nobody. I thought Faze had a good game purely because of his clearances, as did Tom. But deserves a mention. I'm going to give this to Luke. He got over 9 points on the fans' vote, and it made him man of the whole match over any Bournemouth player. So well done, Luke. And the match donkey. Ooh, Mr. Hare himself, about Faze. He got the least votes from everybody.
I would say in the nicest way possible, and I don't think Luke had a bad game. I didn't rate him too low down compared to others. That is the definition of fans voting on their preference of a player than it is anything.
I agree, but I just thought it was a fair way of doing it.
Yeah, because we were utterly garbage. Why not?
Yeah. So then it's not.
Well, although saying that, I was half expecting a Luco to go and get loads of votes just because he played for 58 seconds.
Yeah. Brad, that's it. That's the final review of the season. Thanks for that. We have got next season more games because we're in the Championship and there's going to be a lot of midweek games. Just to say that to end on a high, that in the prediction league from the regulars that present the show, I got the most right this weekend. But then again, haven't I been doing for a while now?
I'll let you have that one. I can't be arsed this week.
We're in the Championship. All I'll say is last time we were in the Championship and you weren't doing well, Brad, you said, and the Premier League.
Yeah, well, I thought let's someone else win this season. I'll wait for us to come back in a few seasons. A hard reset, You're
having the Man United season, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
No prediction full show this week, obviously, because there's no game. What we'll do is on Thursday, we will just do a very quick show on my own where I'm just going to present the table and then that's it. You
mentioned me doing bad this season, but apparently the Predictions League officials are ready to dock points to certain members for not upkeeping in their predictions by the allotted time. So who knows? I might still win it. I don't make the rules. I'm not in charge of doing the maths. I'm just saying.
If anybody did compete at the start and then dropped out, and I actually saw Paddy the other night, went for a drink, and I said to him, "You're not going to be in it next season," and he kind of said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, because you stopped."
Yeah, about 8 or 9.
Sending them in. I said, and not the fact of when you're on holiday. If you notify us you're on holiday and you're prepared to go for a week with no points, that's fine. But you didn't notify us. Anyway, he understood. Brad, mate, thank you very much for everything. We'll see a lot of you over the summer. Obviously, we're going to do specials. We're going to be... I've just got the card out with all the scores we gave at the start of the season. When Cooper left. So we're going to be reviewing those. So we'll see plenty of you over the summer. Thanks very much for all your support this year, mate. Really appreciate it and enjoy it. And I'm now going to go and edit this video and cut certain bits out.
I can't think which parts you wouldn't want.
No, you wouldn't, would you? Remember, guys, if you're watching this on catch up, add your comments below. If you're watching it on, listening to it via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very, very much indeed. Please do smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and click that notification bell because none of the programs are going to be when you expect them to be over the summer. Thanks very much, Prashant. Really appreciate Scott for modding. Take care. Thanks very much as always, Brad. And I'll see all of you tomorrow with the end of season award show with Kate. That's going to be exciting. I don't know who she's going to pick. I really, really don't. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.